Good morning. Welcome to Keeping It Real. Here in Louisiana, we pride ourselves on our Southern Cajun cuisines, the way we spice it up and soulfully prepare our foods. But did you know that Louisiana ranks fifth in the nation for obesity?
Wow, fifth for obesity. And people struggle with all sorts of addictions, but one of the addictions that most people don't often discuss is the addiction to food.
Right.
And today's guest is going to come on and share her story about how she battled with food addiction for most of her life. At her heaviest, she was 637 pounds.
Wow.
But you are not going to believe what she looks like today. Stay tuned when we come back.
Kristen Maddox overcame a 12-year addiction. Now she pulls others out knowing that some have escaped death for the last time. Shauna Butler understands the pain of sexual abuse. Now she uses her voice to unhush the little girls inside of women she counsels. This is Keeping It Real.
Welcome to Keeping It Real. Today we have Karen Hilton on the show, and I'm just so excited about her being here. She's going to tell her journey with a food addiction that she's been battling with ever since she was a little girl. And so, Karen, just thank you so much for joining us today and sharing with our viewers your journey with food addiction.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Well, the first thing I want to ask you is, how was your childhood?
I wasn't, wasn't big as when I was a baby or anything. It started developing, when I was in elementary school and things, and didn't understand, didn't, think I could fit in anywhere because living basically, poverty and lack my whole life. So you think, well, children, see that you don't have the right clothes or you don't have the right, look or anything, so you're judged by that.
Right.
So I always, I had friends and things, but not, very well.
Right.
I felt rejected and things.
Right, and that's what I was going to just ask you, what was it, rejection? Did you get teased or bullied a lot?
A lot.
Was that?
I don't think it was bullied, just, teased
Right.
and, because, oh, look at her, types of shoes she wore and things
Right.
like that. It just hurt my feelings, and so I just went home and just ate.
Right. So you would say that the food addiction started as a young child?
Yes,
As a young
yes.
child. Kristen?
And so I hear that you had a difficult time making friends. What was it like for you at home?
My parents, they were both there. I knew they loved me. But they tried their best, to give us what we needed. They did. So I knew that they loved us and they tried. And so I just, went. I knew that I could never ask them to be in any kind of activities because we didn't have, the finances to have it. So I just, didn't worry about that. But it still affected me inside because I wanted to go and do what the other kids did.
Sure.
The Girl Scouts and things like that, but we never could do that.
Right.
So I just, left it alone and just started, doing what other kids did, tried to fit in, but really couldn't. And then my weight started progressing after years of, just going through the school.
Right. At what point in your life did you realize, this is a problem and this is something that I'm struggling with
Yes.
and I need to do something about it?
Many years. I didn't really find out until I got to be so big that it was time, for change.
Right.
I went through my teenage years very heavy, even into my 20s, and, just struggling with my weight because when someone hurts your feelings, food doesn't.
Right.
It doesn't talk to you. You can just go in there and eat however much you want and not feel any pain.
Right.
But the more you eat, the more pain is there, but you don't know.
Right.
So I got to be 637 pounds, and didn't know. And I was on my deathbed because I went through 5 years of complete sickness. I mean, it was very bad.
637 pounds.
Right.
That's how old were you at the time?
Around 30, 31.
Wow.
Yes.
Right at the prime of your life, 30,
Yes.
31. Yeah. And so you really feel like it was all stemmed from that rejection as a little
Yes,
girl,
yes.
and you just continue to
Yes.
just numb yourself
Yeah.
with the food.
Even growing up, I even took pills before, and the pills didn't do anything. It just hurt my stomach. But I did battle, trying to commit suicide because rejection and not trying to wanting to fit in, not having boyfriends or anything like that.
Right.
I didn't have anything like that. So
Right.
it was like I didn't feel worthless. I felt worthless.
You felt worthless.
And hopeless.
Did anyone else in your family battle, a food addiction, or did they realize the pain that you were in, Karen?
My dad, suffered with obesity and things like that. Yes, because, and then my siblings. I mean, they wasn't huge, but they battled their weight as well. But they weren't huge like I was.
Right. So when when did you get to that point of that turning point in your life where you knew, okay, I need to do something about this? And let me ask you this too. Was God in your life at the time when you were going through this obesity, when you were gaining? He wasn't.
I didn't. As a teenager, I went to youth group and things like that. We prayed at home during that time. My dad, he demanded us that we had to pray and things like that. But it didn't I didn't have a relationship with God.
Right.
So I went through several more years and coming to realize that they told me my last doctor visit after they couldn't help me anymore that, Karen, you're a walking time bomb. And so I basically went home to die.
Wow.
There was no other hope. Didn't have anything.
Right. And so what was that turning point? Where did that no hope turn into hope?
Right. Well, God came to me in a dream. And so I literally saw Jesus on his horse coming through heaven, opening up the sky. I actually saw him. And he said, "Daughter, today who you're going to serve." And so I didn't have no clue about a church or anything. I hadn't stepped foot in church in about 8-9 years. And so when they told me I was a walking time bomb, I just went home to die. I didn't pray. I didn't acknowledge God either.
Right.
So he had to come get me.
He had to come and get you. So he does that with a lot of us. When we return, we'll hear more of Karen's story. Stay tuned.
Today, girls will die as a result of abuse that went too far, drug overdose, and even suicide. It doesn't have to end like that. There is hope. Hi, I'm Kristen Maddox, founder of A Door of Hope Ministries. A Door of Hope provides free services to girls and women that are stuck in a vicious cycle. Some have escaped death for the last time. Without a place to go, they will return to the streets, their abuser, jail, or even worse, end up dead. Let's rescue them by providing a home where they can come free of charge to receive the healing they need. There's a cry in their souls for freedom. We're responding to their cries. The question is, will you help us? Visit our website at www.adoorofhopela.com or call 225-665-HOPE. Together, we can make the difference between life and death.
I'm Pastor Philip Pimlott, and this is my wife Kelly, and we want to extend a special invitation for you to come and visit us at Heartsease Family Life Church. Heartsease is a safe place for you and your family, a place where life starts, love happens, and purpose is revealed.
Our church is located at 12112 Florida Boulevard, and our services are Sunday mornings at 9 and 11 and Wednesday evenings at 6:45.
For more information, check out our website, hflc.us. Welcome home.
A Door of Hope will be hosting the Power of Hope event with actor and producer Stephen Baldwin on Saturday, March 28th at Estrema Baptist Church.
Join us as we raise awareness about domestic violence, addiction, and suicide prevention. Tickets are free, but seating is limited. Register today at www.adoreofhopela.com. Together, we can make the difference between life and death.
When we left off, Karen was telling us about how God had to come and get her. And so we want to hear more about this story.
Well, basically, when he, came and got me, and asked me that day, who am I going to serve? It was May 10th, 2009, and I got up and didn't know where I was going, what church.
Mm-hmm.
So he directed me into the right church that day. So I went and heard the message and gave my life to the Lord that day, and I had an instant healing because I could stay in more than 2 minutes this time, and I didn't have any pain after I, repented of my sins and just asked Jesus to come into my heart, and it was a wonderful day that day.
Just to think about you saying I could stand for more than 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody that doesn't struggle with a weight problem can't even fathom, not being able to stand more than 2 minutes. So that was really a journey, really a struggle for you. That was really a victory for you to be able to stand for more than 2 minutes. When God does it, He does it.
He does.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't breathe, I couldn't hardly walk or anything. When I went grocery shopping, I had to have the wheelchair.
Right.
I couldn't hardly drive my car anymore.
Right. Let me ask you this. When you say God came and got you, were you seeking Him at the time? Were you in bed saying, Lord, the doctors just said I'm a walking time bomb. Like, I need to just go home and die pretty much.
I wasn't seeking
You
Him at
wasn't.
all.
Isn't it something when God comes after us?
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
We think when people reject us, like God is the same way.
Yeah. And He's not. He's not. So tell us about how you overcame rejection.
So when I, gave my life to the Lord, I was 2 weeks later. I helped. I saw an instant change because a miracle took place. I could walk, I could breathe, and so I helped volunteer at my son's school that year. And just after that, he just started teaching me about obedience. Obedience to everything. I didn't crave anything else, but more of Him, because when I had that supernatural encounter with Him, I wanted more.
Right.
And so I wasn't about to let Him go after that.
Right. Wow.
So after a couple months, I was in my bathroom, and I said, Lord, I'm 637 pounds, and there's no possible way in the natural ever I could lose this weight on my own.
Right.
If I could, I would have already done it. So I said, I just wrote it in my journal. I said, I want to lose 200 pounds, but I want to get to 175. That's where I want to be. And so he started, I had several books, I was reading about several different things about healing of the inner man. And so he just started teaching me about obedience. He called me to several fasts, liquid fast. He took me off sugar, took me off fried foods. My family thought I, had lost my mind. I wasn't eating, like.
Yeah, here in Louisiana, how do you come off of fried foods,
And so I just was seeking Him more instead of food. I didn't have the desire anymore.
Right, that's good. Kristen and I were talking before the show about obedience, and I was thinking about that scripture, obedience is better than sacrifice.
Yeah.
And, sometimes we think, okay, well, I'll sacrifice this or sacrifice that. But God says, I want you to obey me first. And sometimes that's hard for us to do,
Right.
because our flesh want what we want,
Yeah.
so that's amazing. It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in that journey, in 8 months, 200 pounds came off.
Wow.
I mean,
Wow.
just basically supernaturally. I mean, there's no other explanation
Wow.
because no one can lose 200 pounds in 8
In
months.
8 months. That's really a miracle. And as I sit here, I hear you, the way that you're talking about God. It's like she's talking about him as though he was sitting there in her living room. Well, he said to do this. And then he told me to do that. And then he said I should do this. And I was obedient. He said, just be obedient. Like she's having a conversation. And that's how he's our daddy.
Yes.
And he wants us to sit and listen to him and talk to him just like that and accept him and hear what he has to say. And that's what you did. That's amazing.
Because he said in his word, ask me anything and it shall be done.
Right. I just want you to, I know that there's many people out there that are struggling, with the food addiction. And they have no idea which way to turn. They may be less than 600 and some pounds, and they may be over. But I just want you to look into that camera and, just tell them what is it going to take for them to overcome that, whether it was rejection or whatever it was that caused them, to turn to food. So if you can just look in there and just talk to them in this camera right here.
Okay. I just want to let you know that if you're battling any kind of, addiction in your life, you can't do it without God. Because we all struggle with something, but he is our only hope. Because if you're in your pit right now, he will come and rescue you. You just call out on the name of Jesus, and that he will come right then and there and just set you free. And I just pray freedom over you right now, that whoever is watching that needs to overcome any kind of battles they're facing, and that you can overcome everything that you're facing. Just call out on Jesus and he will answer you.
Right.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
Yeah. Is there anything that you're doing right now, to help you to continue your journey as far as with, the food addiction? Because I know it's a ongoing battle,
Right. In April of 2013, I was able to have weight loss surgery.
Okay.
And that helped me for the rest of my life. God, had me to have that because I asked him, and he said, he was okay.
Right.
And so today I've lost a total of 427 pounds.
Wow, that's amazing. Nobody but God. Yes. So your journey is still going forward, and
I have between 30 to 35 pounds left, but that's mostly excess skin that I need removed.
Right.
And it's only, I guess, surgery would require that, but I'll eventually have it.
Do you do any exercise?
Just walking.
Just walking and watching what you eat,
Right.
drinking a lot of water.
Yes.
Yeah.
I consume a lot of water. Sugar doesn't faze me anymore. I can, if I eat it, it'll make me sick.
Really? Wow. Isn't that like God? Because I'm thinking, God, come get me, because sugar, I need him to take that away from me. And it's just like him to remove something from you and then allow it to make you sick if you try to go back to it.
Right.
Just his way of blocking us from it,
And I just want to encourage y'all that, you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you.
Yes.
And all you have to do is ask him to take the desire of eating or any kind of addiction that you have away from you.
Amen. Amen. Well, stay tuned. When we come back, more of Karen's story.
My name is Tamara Evans, and I'm the proud owner of Tamara Cleans, a locally owned and operated residential and commercial cleaning company, where we specialize in custom cleans for your home or office. We cover Ascension, East Baton Rouge, and Livingston Parish. Call for your free quote today, and always remember, don't stress, let Tamara clean the mess.
A Door of Hope will be hosting the Power of Hope event with actor and producer Stephen Baldwin on Saturday, March 28th at Estrema Baptist Church. Join us as we raise awareness about domestic violence, addiction, and suicide prevention. Tickets are free, but seating is limited. Register today at www.adoreofhopela.com. Together, we can make the difference between life and death.
Welcome back to Keeping It Real. We have guest Karen Hilton here today, and she, through God, has been able to lose 437 pounds. And she shared earlier how she really struggled with rejection growing up, and that stemmed from growing up in poverty and just different things that she struggled with as a child. And I know that for many of us, a lot of times we're running to something for different reasons, and it may not be rejection in your life. It could be that you struggled with childhood sexual abuse, a past abortion. You may have lost a baby, a child, but there's something that has caused you to run to food, or maybe it's alcohol or overspending. There's so many different things that we run to, but honestly, we've got to run to God.
Yes.
He's waiting for us, and He's the only one that can heal us. And you were sharing, Karen, about how God came and got you, and how He brought you on a journey, and He began to teach you obedience. And can you share with us, I know there had to have been times where, you thought about running back to the food, or maybe that thought of, how did you deal with those moments?
I did run back to food, because on those dark nights, when I was basically, feeling emotionally, emotional abuse. I mean,
Right.
I did deal with that at home. So I did, I was up at night eating a lot, because, and I needed potato chips. That was my key drug.
Right.
And so I had them in my pantry and demanded no one to touch them.
Yeah.
So, but in those other times, I did, going through the process of losing the weight, I still ate.
Right.
Because I said, I'm going to eat still, but Lord help me.
Right.
Every day I was asking Him to help me, because I couldn't do it on my own.
Right. And that's amazing. I was sitting here during the break just thinking about your story. And Kristen and I read a little more about your testimony, and we're just praying that you get that book out one day, because it needs to be in the hands of many that are dealing with this. But I was just thinking about just how much, you really contribute everything to God, and you don't take the glory for any of it. And how someone that, there are people that are seeking God and that are living for God, and and here you weren't living for God, you weren't seeking after Him, and He came after you. And Kristen says this all the time. She says, one touch, just one touch from the Creator, and that's all it takes. And so one touch from God, and it changed your entire life, that you were able to lose over 400 pounds. And even though you still hid your potato chips at times, you still was able to then say, God, I need you to help me. God, I believe, help down my unbelief. You were still able to go back to the source, when before He touched you, you couldn't. Just that one touch. So how much more someone that has God in their lives, and even the ones that doesn't, all you have to do is just ask, just call on Him. Just one touch can change your entire life.
Because any kind of sickness or disease that we face, struggle with, or emotional deal, that He will come and rescue you.
Right.
We get frustrated in the process, we do, because we're in the process, and He just wants to show us the impurities in us, like what we're battling.
Right. And when God touches you, He's able to complete that. He doesn't, we think, well, okay, God touched us, and then it was for that day. But when God touches us, it's a completion. It's a forever touch. It's forever settled. So when He touched you that day, even though you still may have struggled, that one touch covered that struggle, and you were able to make it through. So God is able. He's able.
And I think about, you went home after your doctor's appointment with absolutely no hope.
None.
You, in your mind, you were going home to die. and one touch. And now I believe that God has brought you on a journey, and He's been teaching you who He's created you to be, and that your life and your journey is for a far greater purpose. It's to reach out to people that are where you were all, those many months ago, and to encourage them and to point them to the Lord and say, He's the answer. He'll meet you wherever you are.
Yes.
He'll heal every hurt, every wound, and whether it's rejection or whatever it is.
And now he, brings me to people on the streets. I pray for people everywhere I go when he directs me.
Wow. Well, I guess when he came looking for you on that horse, there was something, he had a plan. It was something that he had for Karen to do. And he needed you to take some of that weight off. So he said, I'm just going to have to go get my daughter and, and get her on that path. And wow, could you have even ever imagined yourself praying with people?
I would not, because being shy and timid my whole life, not really talking.
Right.
I would never imagine today would be like this.
Right. And that's what the enemy does. He causes us to cover ourselves in food.
Yes.
And other things, rejection and just all kind of issues that we deal with, because he doesn't want us to see who God created us to be. And when we allow God to come into our lives and start chipping away all of these issues that the enemy has placed on us, sometimes from a little child, and then we start to see things clearer. I know one day I told Kristen, I said, sometimes we're so close up to the painting that it's blurry. We can't see it. But then God has to allow us to step back. And as we step back from it, we get to see the vision, the bigger vision, of what it is. Wow, okay, that's a painting of an eagle, and it's so beautiful. But when we're so close up to it, when you were so close to eating the food, you couldn't see what God had for you. So God has to allow us to back up from what it is that's causing us harm. And then we can see the bigger picture. Wow, this is who God created me to be, So he had to take off some of the weight, cause you to start focusing and hearing his voice. And now you're able to go out and help others to hear his voice.
Yes.
That's amazing. You're very, very inspiring.
Thank you. And he also said, I overcome poverty and lack, because from generational back. Yes.
Right.
So the more I give, the more he gives me.
That's right.
I can't outgive him.
Wow. That's amazing.
He gets better and better every day.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Karen, we want to thank you for being on Keeping It Real today. Your story is truly one from a caterpillar to a butterfly, and you're absolutely beautiful. Thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you for having me.
Real lives,
Real stories.
here on Keeping It Real.
Today's episode's closed caption sponsor is Tamara Cleans. Always remember, don't stress, let Tamara clean the mess.